Hey, welcome back, guys. Tonight I'm going to talk about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the movie that all my gamer friends from the blogs just absolutely loved and praised. And this is the movie that saved, probably finally brought gamers into the spotlight in video games. Or I don't know what the fuck they thought, but they weren't alone. A lot of people liked it, and it got generally good, very good reviews. I remember hearing great reviews about it. It has. I was just looking at some stuff. It has like a 81% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes among viewers, like the users on the site. It has like an 85% fresh rating. So this is a generally, you know, you know, well liked if not loved movie by most people, and among most gamers, it was really loved. Um, I always had my reservations about this one right from the beginning. Just the poster and the tagline, epic, epic of epicness. It was just something about that rubbed me the wrong way. I worried that it would just portray gamers in a bad light and kind of be stuck in the past. It's just something I always worry about um, when something's trying to be hip. Because by the time something becomes mainstream enough to become a movie, um, its hipness is probably a little bit like 5 years past due, you know? And I don't think that's the problem with Scott Pilgrim, in fact. I think it's actually an okay movie. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What is it? It's a movie that's based off of a comic series by what's the dude's name? It's based off of a comic series called Scott Pilgrim by Brian Lee O'Malley, and the movie is directed by Edgar Wright, who did Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. And I'll get this out of the way real quick. Honestly, this is kind of a bit of a confession because everyone like loves these movies too. I don't think I've ever really liked an Edgar Wright movie. Like Shaun of the Dead, I liked it okay. Hot Fuzz, nah, not really. But it's just I don't get it. I'm not trying to be disagreeable or whatever. I want to love every movie I see. Um, but anyways, so it's based on a comic book that is kind of like an homage to video games a little bit. It's got a lot of video games, pop culture references, and stuff like that. And it's just about this young gamer guy and his, adventures or misadventures in love. And in the movie, he's in a band. He's like the bass player in a band, um, dating some high school chick, even though he's like 23 or 22 or something. And then and he's played by Michael Cera, and he meets this super hot, I think, sexy girl named Ramona Flowers, who's played by Maria Elizabeth Winstead. And he instantly falls for her, and he pursues her, and goes to a party and tries to meet her. And it's kind of weird because Michael Cera, he's plays this kind of like, no matter what his role is, he's always kind of awkward and geeky, and he's like that here, but he's also got a lot of balls, and he's kind of an asshole too. Which is it's an interesting choice to, it's a risky, interesting choice to make your character kind of unlikable, your main character kind of unlikable. He's dating a high school girl. He's kind of a dick. He basically cheats on her when he meets this Ramona girl and doesn't really say anything to her, like, this is over, until, like, after he should have. And so he falls for this Ramona chick, and I guess they kind of start dating, and then he finds out she has 7 evil exes that he must defeat in order for them to be together. And then that's the rest of the movie. Him defeating the seven evil X's, in a series of fights, over and over and over until he beats them all. And then there's other stuff that happens near the end, but I it unfortunately doesn't amount to much to me. Like it doesn't really go anywhere, and it does like it gets boring after a while. Like the movie, I went in with all these reservations. Like it's gonna make gamers look bad. It's gonna be stale. Like it's gonna try to be ultra hip, but with shit that's from 5 years ago. I was worried about all these things, but then within the first like kind of 10 minutes, the movie felt kind of really alive, and it kind of charmed me a little bit. It has charm to start off with, and it does start off pretty strong. And like the first time I heard like a Zelda Legend of Zelda musical cue, I was like, that's really awesome. So it had me like I went in like not expecting to like it too much, but then within 10 minutes, like it hooked me, it charmed me, and I'm like, now I see why everyone likes this movie. It's gonna be great. But then as it goes along, it's just clever without going anywhere. I mean, there's two things I could say about this movie. One is the fights that he gets in with the X's. They're really nicely choreographed and exciting. They're pretty good action and pretty inventive, crazy stuff going on. He defeats the X and they explode into a shower of coins. Another video game reference. They're really good. The other thing that I could say that, no joke, man, this is probably one of the most visually interesting movies I've seen since Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is probably my favorite movie. And but that's where like when my mind gets drawn to that comparison, it's like, well, Eternal Sunshine had a real brain and had a real heart behind it. It had something going on. This is just it's surface level cleverness. Like it doesn't have anything to say. I don't think. Someone told me I was arguing with someone about it after, like, well, the message is you shouldn't cheat on people. Really? That's enough of a message for a movie. Um, so very visually interesting and cool. Like they got the little comic book like pop up like words coming, like like so say someone's playing bass, a string of D's will appear in the air and come out, and just little things like that. Uh, just lots of cool like visual touches. Like there's one part where Scott Pilgrim is talking to Ramona Flowers, and then like the whole background is just black, like they're just talking to each other. Just cool stuff like that happening a lot. Um, and like I said, the fights, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, that was a kick-ass fight. That damn dude. And I'll say that like I said, the movie's clever and it's pretty funny at parts. It's kind of consistently like not like laugh my fucking ass off funny, but funny enough, right? But then it's just like at the first 30 minutes, we get to watch the first 30 minutes three more times basically, because you're just watching fight after fight after fight after fight, and then the relationship material is not really going anywhere. It's like he loves her and she like kind of digs him, maybe, maybe not, who knows. Who cares? The movie doesn't really seem to care. And after a while of seeing the fights, you're like, I've seen this. After the third one or fourth one, you're like, I've seen this now a couple times. This isn't as exciting anymore. It's getting a little repetitive. I hate calling things repetitive because everything's repetitive, but it really is. And then it gets to an ending, like it doesn't go anywhere. It's just he defeats the seven guys, and I don't want to spoil what happens, but I don't feel enough happens. I feel like something more should have happened. I feel like the whole thing is a complete missed opportunity when it comes to say something about relationships. And it's like it's kind of disappointing how gamers like were just like, oh, this is the movie that finally represents us. Like represents you as what, selfish asshole who fucking thinks they're gonna become a rock star for no reason. You know, in a movie where like the deepest message is don't cheat or do cheat, but don't, or who knows. There's no message. There's no movies don't need a message, but there should be at some point some sort of narrative arc that's happening. And here, there's really no narrative arc. There's nothing. Scott Pilgrim's a dick. He meets a girl he really likes. He somehow gets her. He has to defeat seven evil exes. And he's a little less of a dick at the end. I, I, I hope someone just comes in here and just rips on me and rips this fucking review apart and is just like, you're a fucking idiot, and backs it up, because really, I want to know, what did I miss in this movie? I'm not trying to shit on it. Like I said, I have some good, very good things to say. I thought it was very visually interesting and very visually well done. You know, it's snappy, it's funny, it's got some charm to it, especially in the beginning. Um, but then it just doesn't go anywhere with it after that. I mean, you could be hip all you want, but give me something to chew on to take it somewhere. Um, I can't really give it a bad rating because it's not bad, but this is another one. I talked about this in my last video, where it's just another, every movie this year that was supposedly really really good, I'm finally getting to see them, and every one of them, like, that wasn't that good. And that's like, I'm not trying to be hipster about it, or I'm not trying to be too cool for school. I want to love every movie I see, like I said. And when I see a movie that I really love, I will tell you. Like, I don't try to be like, I wear my love for a movie on my arm. Like, uh, if you see my review of Frozen, I loved it. Loved that movie. And you'd be like, oh, that's because it's a small movie nobody saw. You're trying to be cool. Well, it Hurt Locker last year. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, this is the best movie of the year. This movie's fucking great. Everyone should see it. And it won Best Picture, and everyone that sees it loves it. So it's not a matter of me trying to be different on this or whatever. It's just this year. Maybe my taste in movies or something is falling apart, but this year I just feel like was a really bad year for movies, and even the best of them, and the ones that had the most critical praise and fan praise, I see them and I'm like, that was okay, but that was nothing special, and nowhere near as great as y'all made it out to sound. I felt that way about Inception. I liked Inception more than this, but I feel that way about this movie. Exit Through the Gift Shop, that documentary, I talked about it last night. You go back and look at my last video. That wasn't one I heard a lot from people, but from critics, they all loved it. And I just don't know what it is this year, but it just seems like I'm waiting for the movie where I'm going to be like, yes, that's the movie. Or that was a great movie, or that was as good as people said. The only one really left, there's like two left out there that I have to see. It's 127 Hours and The Social Network. And at this point, I'm starting to wonder whether I'm going to like those at all. They look great, and they get great reviews, and everyone says they're great, but everyone said Inception was great. Everyone said this Scott Pilgrim versus the World was great. Toy Story 3 was great. I didn't feel any of them were great. And I don't know. Am I alone on this whole Scott Pilgrim thing? Or does anyone else feel it was overrated? I don't know. But I mean, I would have to, like I said, simple one sentence review. It was good, but not great, not as special as people made it out to be. Um, and it had an opportunity to be a lot better if it would have had more substance to it. But the movie just kind of lacks substance when you get down to it. It is kind of all flash and style and being clever and humor, and you got a hot chick and video game stuff, and some cool fights. But take it somewhere. Make it more than just that, I think. So, I mean, I can't give it a really bad score, but I can't give it a really good score. Right down the middle, 3 out of 5, once again. Um, which is better than the next movie I'm going to talk about. So, thanks for watching.